morning, everybody. I'd like to call the DPW meeting to order. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting?
No motion.
I have a motion as a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Okay. We don't have anything from Joe today, so we're going to go right to Deb.
Nothing from Joe. All right. Good morning, everyone. Today we have an auction list which I sent out. We do have to add a 2000 Chevy Blazer to that for a frame failure. So that will be updated. Did anybody have any questions on that? Do I ask who? Okay. So.
Oh, Dana. All right, guys, Dana. Sorry.
Deb, I noticed on the list you also had the original purchase price and then the repair price.
Yep.
Did that repair price include the purchase price? Because the repair prices were like double the purchase price.
Well, the repair price includes maintenance. So it has the cost of blades and tires and everything like that, but it does not include the purchase price.
Okay, all right.
Dana.
That's why we're really
Dana?
hopeful about our new program to replace the truck sooner.
Dana, I asked the same question over yesterday, and then I talked to Ty, and he dropped me off this folder for one truck. It has over 100 pages in it of repair sheets that I've been going through. So, yeah, I haven't added them all up, but these older trucks really start to add up fast as they get later in years.
Well, as Deb explained, that repair line in the budget probably includes oil filters, oil changes, windshield wiper blades, it's everything.
Yeah, and it's everything, and the labor is at the shop rate too, which is $54 an hour, $52 an hour. So, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Can I
So-
add that that's the normal?
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. That's the normal over the last years after we've been keeping them for 15 years. So I just wanted to add that in.
Okay. Dan.
The last one, the derrick truck, that hasn't cost very much to date. What is it, just not necessary anymore? I mean, it doesn't look like you're getting rid of it because it's too expensive to maintain. Is it just not necessary?
Yeah, that one we're getting rid of because it doesn't work. The boom settles and it needs a new bucket on it. So that one, it needs way too much in repairs to make it worth keeping.
Okay. Thank you.
We are a little nervous about taking that out of our inventory because we're not replacing it with inventory. But that brings me to another thing is, do you remember when we got a new lowboy? So our lowboy arrived this summer and we had fixed the other one to work for us for not carrying heavy loads, but carrying light loads in the meantime. And we found that it's been really beneficial to have that extra trailer around. So I wanted to get an idea of what you guys thought about us keeping that inventory, because we're not trying to grow our inventory, but it has been very beneficial, and we can't carry the heavy stuff with it, but we can carry the light stuff with it. But we didn't want to not sell it when that's generally what we plan to do. Does anybody have any comments on that?
Brian does.
Are you just referring to the lowboy, or are you referring to the derrick truck? I mean, or general and everything overall here? Where are we going?
I'm referring to lowboy. Remember when we had to buy a new lowboy because the old one was cracked, and then we fixed it, but we didn't fix it so that it could have the capacity of the original intention. So it held us over through the winter because we don't use it tremendously in the winter.
I think we planned to sell it, Brian, when we got the new one, and if I'm getting it right, Deb, you're saying, well, we got rid of the derrick, can we keep the lowboy kind of as a balance you out on inventory kind of deal?
Okay, that's where she was going, okay.
Yeah.
No, I was trying to see if it was a general statement that we were gonna do this with a lot of things. If it's just the one thing, I can understand that, because sometimes things break, and if you got something that'll fill in it.
Well, sometimes they're moving equipment two different directions too, so. Any other questions for Deb on that? Paul?
Yeah, I think if it's beneficial to them to keep it and, it keeps us from buying another new low boy so that they can keep things moving along. I think, Deb's made the right decision to keep it.
All right. So the next thing we have on the list is Marchicelli agreements. So we have a Marchicelli agreement for the Shushan Bridge, and this provides, sorry. My cheat sheet. Well, $16,000 worth of right-of-way acquisition. Oh, sorry. So we need to do some right-of-way acquisition for the Shushan Bridge. It adds $16,973 to the project. So we would be on the hook for 20 if Marchicelli doesn't come through, and 5%, which they always have, but there's always that chance that they don't. So I think Roger's got the resolution for that. Al's got the Schedule A, and I think we just need to get permission to have it signed, right?
Yes,
Okay, do we need to move the resolution, Roger?
yes.
Okay, Brian moves it.
Second it.
Paul seconded it. We're moving it to finance, is that correct?
I don't know if those, I'll defer to Al on whether or not that usually goes through finance or not.
This
Go
one,
ahead.
this one's just the agreement, so I don't know that it has to. There's no budget impact on this one.
Okay. Dana?
Deb, why are you buying right away?
Because when they went out to do a study, well, not a study, but when they went out to do the constructability of the project, they realized that they had to move some of the utilities, and that's what this entails.
But aren't the utilities owned by National Grid or Verizon or other people?
Yeah, these are just temporary easements. They're not purchased right away.
Why do we have to purchase? Why does the county have to purchase a right of way if it's going to be used by a utility company? It's not.
We're causing them to relocate. We're causing them to relocate via our construction. And we'll probably also lay down things and use the rest of that. It's during the project, and we do this, I won't say on every project, because sometimes we don't need to, but quite frequently to put stuff aside to relocate the utilities. We have to relocate their utilities because they're fine where they are, but we're causing them to move. So why should they pay? Because we're disrupting them. So we end up paying for temporary easements. Right-of-ways is probably not the right term that's used, but it's more like a temporary easement because we're not acquiring the fee and term or the property and fee. We're just acquiring the temporary use of it while the project is constructed.
So this is not going to be a permanent easement. What's the going rate of permanent? 16,000 seems like quite a bit just for a temporary easement. The property owner would not just allow you to do that out of the goodness of their heart?
Oh, gosh, no.
Well, we'll send you out to negotiate next time. I mean, no would be the answer. We go out and we ask, but we have is this RK Height doing this one too, Deb?
Yes, yep.
Right, so there's an approved group that does this for all of our projects and quite a few other projects for the state, where they go out and negotiate the right of way so that we can avoid one of your favorite words, which is using eminent domain to acquire it, whether temporarily or permanently.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. You're up, Deb.
Hey, Jay,
So I
Oh,
sent,
just a second, Deb.
do we need to declare this stuff surplus equipment to sell before the auction, or is that just we don't have to do that anymore?
What's that now?
Do we have to declare this stuff surplus in order to send it to auction and sell it?
I think you-
Do the town level, I didn't know if we needed.
Did we do it, Deb, or did we skip over it?
There was no motion.
There's no
Oh,
motion.
okay. Yeah, Deb,
So personal property under, I think it's 215 of the county law, is disposed for as provided by the Board of Supervisors. There is no need to do that. You can follow whatever procedure you've established to do that without a,
Yes, the town.
without a formal, this is surplus.
Okay,
resolution.
just asking, thank you.
And the auction would cover the, it doesn't have to be auctioned, but that's been the procedure that you've established.
okay. So we're all set, we can keep going forward, we don't need to make, okay.
Not unless you'd like to, I mean, you certainly could.
Go ahead, Deb.
so I sent out the feasibility study that was done on the barns, so that everybody could look at it. I just wanted to talk with you about how is it possible to start moving forward to looking into what we have for options on barns replacement. In particular, I'm interested in the Middle Falls one and the Fort Ann one, because they're the ones that are in the worst shape. Now, I understand that the prices that were given in here were extremely high. I talked to both Lester in Fort Edward and Brian over at the town highway barn, because they just built a new one. And their barn was significantly less expensive than many of the prices that you'll see in here. Granted, there were 5 bays in there. It's all kind of different, but I wanted permission to kind of start looking into this to see what our options are. If you guys wanted to go and look at any of the barns with me, including the new Fort Edward barn and the old Middle Falls barn, we could do that. I just didn't know if we could start looking into it or if we had to have money first. I'm working with Laura on what our options are for grants, and they don't look as promising as they did a few months ago, but does anyone have thoughts on this?
Matt.
Are we looking at replacing the Middle Falls barn sometime in the near future, or is this something we're gonna co-locate with another entity in that same area? Or is it just us doing our thing?
It would be both. Looking at it with, if we can locate with somebody, that would be great because it would open up more grant opportunities for us. And we have a really good shared services up in Putnam right now that's worked very well as an example. So it was kind of like a pilot program, but it works really well. So I would lean towards partnering with someone. There are very feasible places to partner in both Easton, Greenwich area and in the Fort Ann area, especially Fort Ann, because they own a whole bunch of land and it's right on the property that borders the property that we have.
Dave, you have a question?
I'm just curious, Dana Hogan, didn't Kingsbury just build their new barn out there, and what was the cost, do you remember?
It was about 5 years ago, Dave. I think it's been quite a while. I'd be guessing, but I think the number was, I'd have to find out. I don't want to give you the bad information. It was quite a while ago, though. Give me 1 minute, I'll find out.
Thanks.
Jay?
Brian? Yeah? Yeah, Kathy?
Yes, I'm sorry, I can't hold the link to do the video today. I would rather see us start to look at get a plan in place, because so often these grants come up fast and you have to have stuff started. And if it's not gonna cost us money to start a plan, I think we should move forward with that. Because if your window is only 6 weeks or 2 months to apply for a grant, it's better to be prepared so you can react than to sit around and try and put it all together at the last second.
Brian?
So anyway, yeah, the Kingsbury Barn is quite impressive. I have not seen the Fort Edward one. I toured the Kingsbury Barn with Kevin Hayes, and so that's a while ago. He was administrator, so yeah, I'm thinking 6-8 years ago. And I don't remember the price either, Dana. I think it was around 1.2 million, but Kingsbury did a lot of the work. I think Paul Bromley was I don't know if he was the foreman or the project manager or what he was, but they did a hell of a job. I like the format of how that's set up, because I remember it, and I'm hoping that sometime Hebert can do something like that, and maybe we can do something with the county too, because we're not that far apart. But at the same token, I agree with Kathy. I'd like to have a plan where we have a set type of structure, whether it's 5-6 bays with 2 trucks to a bay. I like Kingsbury where they have doors on both ends where you always drive forward instead of backing up. It makes it a little safer, less things get wrecked and people don't get hurt. And, there's a big plan to this, I would think. And if we could get that set so we had a set of plans that we knew we were working on, so we engineered it once, and we could add modules maybe to make it work, so we weren't going out for new engineering every time. Because it may be more than just 1 barn or 2 barns, and it might set us a plan for the future that would save us all the way around with shared services grants and all those sorts of things. But yeah, I'd love to see the Fort Edward barn, and I think everyone should, I think if the whole DPW committee or the whole board even should tour them, and I think maybe we should see the one in Putnam and see how that's worked out, and because that's kind of the blueprint for how it's done, and it worked well there, so.
I guess I would ask Dan and Sam, are your towns interested in going into a single building with the county?
What are you asking, Jay?
You and Sam.
Oh, the answer for me and for the town of Easton is yes. I polled my town board, and they said that they were definitely interested in that and very receptive. And the highway department, the highway superintendent and the crew all agreed that they thought it would be beneficial to the town if we partnered with the county on one barn.
Yeah, so that's a good point. And anybody who wants to come up and look at the Putnam County barn, so feel free to do so. And it is working out very, very well. You just got to look at what the bay requirement is for both the county side and the town side. Up here in Putnam, the larger side is obviously to the town. County's got 2 bays. In the middle is the admin area, and that's the shared space. The break room, office areas are separate. Break room and bathrooms are common and shared. So working out very well.
Dana, Hogan?
So to answer Dave's question, according to Mike Graham, they moved in April 2014. With the site work, the engineering, and the construction, it was 1.6 million altogether, roughly, is what he's saying. And Brian was right. Mr. Bromley did quite a bit of work as a general contractor. I believe it. I should say he was a GC for the job. Same as what he did with our town building. He saved us a lot of money.
Sam, do you have your hand up?
I do, yes, Jay. The town of Fort Anne is interested as well. I know that for several years, that's been on the agenda with the previous town boards and supervisors in Fort Anne as well, as to try to partner shared services with the county on a project like that. So yes, they're interested.
Al, I would ask, Chris I had a budget plan for both of these barns down the road. Are they adequate for if they were combined facilities on those capital budgets? I guess, Brian, you'd be in on this question too. Didn't you have down like 3 million on one and 2 something on?
Yeah, I think it's according to how it splits out is, Darrell Wilson said, is what percentages of the building would be the counties, what percentage would be the towns. And so, yeah, the county budget, the town budgets have to work at the same time to make it all happen, and I think that's why Deb wants to get started now. This would take 2 or 3 years to put it together to build. It's not something that could happen overnight, and I think the other thing is as much as some people wanted to replace the shop, I think this puts the shop on the back burner. I think this is probably a more pressing issue right now with the shape that Middle Falls Barn and even Fort Ann's Barn are in. So I think those would take the precedence right now to the shop. And I think Deb's in agreement with that this is a more important thing right at the moment. And it's probably something we could more afford at the moment, or, you know, by the time it comes to fruition.
Anybody else got any questions? Lester?
Just a comment, the Fort Edward barn cost $2.4 million. Everything was subbed out on that. 5 days.
Matt?
So what are we talking about, Deb? You say you want to move forward on it, let's be tangible on this. What is it, the steps that we're going to take? What are the action item steps? We want to talk about doing next month, next year, the following year.
So are you asking me?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we just say, yeah, that's a good idea, what then happens? What are we doing? Who's going to do what
So-
to forward?
I was going to start looking into, we have a lot of data, but I was going to start conversations with the interested parties and find places that were feasible and just start getting some ideas. And I can report back every committee meeting on how much progress we've made with that. So, you know, you can see, like, if we go for a tour, it'll probably be beneficial for everybody because you'll actually know exactly or more about what I'm talking about. And, you know, we can just kind of see it evolve. But as for steps specifically, I don't really know yet until I start getting involved in the project.
Okay.
Anybody else? Brian?
So, I think another question that arose when we discussed this was the fact that maybe the Middle Falls barn could even be part Easton, part Greenwich Town, Greenwich Village. You know, it might be in 2 separate places, even the way it splits up. There might be different ways to look at it. And I don't know, I know Don Ward was on board, but I don't know about whether his town highway, anything, because that's all important. Dan brought up a great point. It's all important that everybody's on board for something like this to work out. So the thing of it is with the shared services grant is $1 million the cap, but it's $200,000 cap per entity. So if you have a town, a village, and the county together, there's $600,000 available. If, you know, and if there's 2 of them together, there's basically $400,000 available. So there's more money available if you can include a village, but it doesn't always work out that way. So I think we want all avenues open so Deb can look at all of them, and but it's going to take a lot of work with each supervisor too in each area that they're looking so that they can provide information and see if their board is on board with it along with the highway people.
Dave?
Just out of curiosity, is there a state farm down there someplace around that area? And would it make sense to look at adding those down to the mix on the same facility?
State Barns, the intersection of 29 and Casiuna Road.
All right. They usually don't work well with the county. Just to be honest.
Anybody else? Okay, Deb. Sounds like it's go ahead and start forward.
All right. So next is the plow truck purchase for the 2021 budget. So the price increases in January. We don't know how much it increases, but it's very likely that it will increase. So if we put an order in before December 10th or on December 10th or by December 10th, we will get the price that it is now. Is there any way that we can do that or any interest in doing that?
Brian?
My screen just went blank again, but they can hear me. So anyway, back in 2012, we did this one other time. I believe Mr. Wilson might have been the DPW chief at the time. And we did it to save $1,500 a truck. With the cost of trucks are today, I would say you probably would save that much easily, if they go up at all. Chances of them going down are nil. So I guess I would find a way to move the money just to save, because you could be talking $5,000 a truck. That'd be $20,000 that you don't have to raise by taxes to purchase them in the new year. So if that's a possibility, I think it'd be worthwhile for us to do it. I don't think there's any downside. You're just gonna move money to make that happen.
And Al, don't we move the money on paper, but we really don't pay for them until they show up, correct?
Yeah, so we would end up amending the 2020 budget and the 2021 budgets and basically just move the purchase into this year's budget. But yeah, you wouldn't actually spend the money until probably this time next year.
Is there a motion to move this to finance, or is there an interest to do this, I guess?
I'll move it to finance, because if we can
Yeah.
save 20,000 or so, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's interest, and I'll second that motion if Brian's making it.
Any discussion on it? All in favor of this? Aye. Move it to finance?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Very good, Deb.
And the last thing that I have is a request to backfill for a highway worker 2 due to a resignation.
Matt's moving it to personnel. They
Second.
got a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The one other thing Deb brought up to me is our next meeting is between Christmas and New Year's in that week. Is everybody fine with that, or would you like to change it?
Yeah, I think we're all gonna go on a cruise.
Yeah, nobody's going
Nobody's going to Colorado to ski or anything like that, or? All right then, we'll leave it set as it is.
Ain't no one in Vermont, you gotta coordinate.
You might not be able to go do it.
All right. Is there any other business to come before the committee? Hearing nothing, I'll take a motion to adjourn. A motion?
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Thanks,
Thank
Deb.
you, everyone.
Thank you.